All right, guys, welcome back. iCoach VIP members. Guys, today I have a very special guest, somebody that is in the Elite 5 with me, working with Mr. Jason Phillips. So, welcome, Brad Jenson. How are you, buddy?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on, dude. I appreciate it. I'm excited.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, dude, you have, everybody tells me that I have a crazy story, but I think that, I think your story is probably one of the craziest that I've heard. I listened to you, like I said, on your podcast when you shared it, and just a lot of those things resonated with me. A lot of things like I've kind of gone through and seen in my life. So, dude, can you just kind of like give us a little bit of background on you, your story, like how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, man. Absolutely. So, so I'm sick. I just celebrated 6 years clean and sober from gnarly heroin, meth addiction, you name it, basically anything. And I guess I'll take you all the way back. So I own a company called Key Nutrition currently. We're based out of Salt Lake City, Utah, and super excited to be in this Elite 5. It's been a scary investment, but I've learned the things that are the scariest in my life, like I need to walk through, and that's the things that gets me to where I want to be. So it's kind of ironic timing because a lot of fucking fear popped up lately. Like, shit, I'm paying this dude a lot of money, and like, fuck, man, and it's December. Nobody's really buying coaching right now. It's, they still are, but not like in January, right? And but it reminds me of just like the same shit I walked through 6 years ago that was so scary, and like that I'm afforded the life I have today. So, it wasn't always like that for me, but from a young age, I remember just feeling just a little bit different. Like I kind of just had this hole inside that I just like, no matter what, I just couldn't quite fill, and I was, I was typical, like I got into health and fitness when I was, like 14, 15 years old, about 14. And I was kind of a chubby kid. I went through that phase that a lot of 12-year-olds do where you're just like, it's just kind of like fat. And like you start like having fits, and I was like playing, what was that, Sega Genesis back then? I haven't played Nintendo System in a long time, but, I found health and fitness, and I went through, dude, I was sick of being teased. I was teased by my friends. So like, I wasn't like bullied and put in lockers, but like all my friends would call me the fat kid. And like, I'd wear the black t-shirt to the pool in the summer. Like, it just sucked. And I took my bike to Barnes and Nobles one day to pick up a book for my mom. This is like, 90s, how old am I? So this is like 98. It was like when AOL first came out, and they had like a CD, and it was like disc, and like today it would have been so much easier because I just got GLE, like what, like how do I get fit? But I went there and I saw these health and fitness magazines, and I picked them up, and I just started reading, and like 3 hours later I was like, oh shit, I gotta go home. And my mom was paging me, the pager was going off, but dude, I was enthralled by it. It was the first thing I'd ever been passionate about in my life, and I got into it and like saw my body change, and that's where my love for health. And like at that moment, because I was like, I saw you resonate with like Gary Vee too. Like I resonate with Gary Vee a lot. It's kind of like where I'm built in is Gary Vee, and I think that's why I gravitate toward Jason too. And a lot of the Gary Vee was just like, I was not a good student. Not because I wasn't smart. I just didn't give a shit about school, and like that was the first time I'd ever felt passionate. When like, they'd go around and they could say, what do you want to do for a living? And like, I want to be a doctor. And I'm like, I don't even know. Like, I don't know. And like, when I started reading those books and magazines, and I went back there every day, I'd take my bike and I would just read. I didn't have enough money to buy the books, so I'd just go read them there. I was like, that's what I'm going to do the rest of my life, was fitness. So that's when that's when my love for fitness came. So I got in good shape. Got the girl that like didn't have any clue I existed, ended up being my high school sweetheart. She was captain of the drill team. It was just like, it was the hottest girl in school. And, but I still felt this hole inside that like, I was like, why don't I feel complete? And like, dude, I was shredded. It was like a high school senior. Wow. Like about a junior. But like going back a couple years, I had, during that time I was kind of chubby. I picked up alcohol and I drank, and I remember drinking, and like that taste of the tequila going down. I was like 13 years old, and I was like, oh my God, this is awful. And about 20 minutes later, I was like, hell yeah, I love It was amazing. Like, I loved that feeling. There was kind of this discontent with being me. I couldn't explain it other than, like, you know, some people think like, oh, it's a choice. Like, I believe I had this strong predisposition to be an addict. And like, if you already have some awareness of that in yourself, like, it was just like, I loved it. My friends were like, oh, that was cool, but holy crap, we might get caught. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, that was fun. It was just, I was just wired a little different, where immediately I just loved not feeling me. So, but then I got into the health and fitness thing, and I remember thinking, okay, well, I can't do, when we drank here and there, again, we'd steal it here and there from my friends' parents, but I remember thinking, okay, I can't drink anymore. So, because I was really, I mean, dude, I was enthralled with it. Dude, I would take tuna fish and brown rice and salsa to like school when I was a senior, eat a cold in the hall. I didn't care. I was way more dedicated than I am now.
Yeah, I think.
And so I found this, you know, we were starting to go on to parties and stuff, and I wouldn't drink. I'd bring like a muscle milk in there, and that's what I would drink. And I would talk shit, but I didn't care. But I remember I'm like, man, like I want to get fucked up. Like, all these other guys are getting fucked up. And I'm like, but I'm not drinking because I know what it does to my body. I know what it will do to my results. I'm not going to compromise this. I was so hardcore into this. And one of my friends said, hey, man, I'll try some of these Lortabs. I said, what are Lortabs? He said, they're like hydrocodone. I said, what's that? He said, it's a pain pill. And I was like, well, I'm not in pain. He said, dude, it will mess you up. I'm like, oh, really? So, dude, I mean, I just took one. Like, that was me. I was like, okay, you convinced me. And, dude, when I took those, I remember once they hit me, I thought, like, that's what I want to do the rest of my life, was feel like that. And, dude, I chased that dream. I chased that delusion for another decade before I got sober. And it was, you know, I don't know how in depth you want me to go, but it led from, it's really like the tip of my story. My story isn't special. Like the fact that like I came back from my story, I think is what makes it special. But my story like isn't special in the fact that it went from Lortabs to stronger drugs to then to, you know, to Oxycontin, and I was addicted to Oxycontin. And, I mean, full-blown addict, but still like had like, it was this great like delusion that my life was, because I was managing a Gold's Gym. Like, I was making good money, but I would spend all of it on drugs, but then I'd make it back. And, you know, I didn't look like a heroin. I didn't look like an opiate addict. You know, I was jacked. I was big. Nobody had any idea. And then about 2006, 2005, it just got bad. Like, and I wasn't able to like work anymore. Like, I started running out. My habit got higher. I didn't have the money for it. And so you know, I found myself then looking for a cheaper solution. And some guy said, hey man, try this heroin. And it was like, I was like, cool, let's do it. And so I shot heroin for the first time. And dude, within like 6 months, I ended up in a rehab. Like, it got bad real quick. I mean, overdoses, the whole works. And so I went to my first rehab in 2005. I ended up getting sober in November 20th of 2012. So I was not a quick learner, you know? So dude, it went from there to, I'd get out of rehab. And like, this was like, when I see my clients doing the same shit, like I tell them I can relate, and they're like, no, you can't. Literally, this program was a six-week program. It was 45 days. And this was like a nice posh rehab. Like, my parents were like, we're going to put them in the nicest place. It was like a chef. I was like, this is cool. And at day 44, I decided to sneak out the window with some chick that I met there and go get fucked up. But keep in mind, like, I could have walked my ass out the front door. like it was not a lockdown facility. I just was like, holy shit, if I actually complete this, there might be some expectations on me. And I didn't consciously think that. But so often I see my clients doing the same thing. Like, if I actually succeed, like, then people might actually expect me to succeed, you know? And I looking back now in retrospect, I realized what I was doing was just saying, hey, fuck it. I don't want these expectations. So I'm going to leave. I was going to like graduate the next day, and I left and I went with this chick, and it was just like back to the races. And there were periods in there where I got sober and I got into nutrition coaching, and I loved it. And it was probably the only sanity I had in my life, because I was still partying. I was doing the party scene, going out and I wasn't drinking much, but I was doing drugs like GHB and ecstasy. And I was like, okay, like, I think it was fun. There was girls. It wasn't like I was in some dirty like place shooting heroin. But like eventually it just took me right back to the same stuff that like ruined my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I took it from there. Dude, it just got like worse before it got better. Like I got into nutrition coaching. I loved what I was doing. And I started going back on the shit. Like I picked up some and I did it one weekend. I'm like, oh, I can't do that again. I'm not going to do that. So, and then it just kept doing that. And I could spiral back in. And I'd like have these moments of trying to not do it, just white knuckling it. Because I loved what I was doing for a living. Like I loved it. And I didn't, in about 2008, I was going downhill real quick. And I actually just I quit my job. I told my clients, hey, I've got to take a leave of absence. I made up some bullshit to my employer at the time that I had to go, that I had a family member dying and I had to go be with them. Like the biggest bullshit story. But there was this part of me that was like, I can't ruin my reputation in this industry. So I have to bow out now because this is not going to get any better. Like I knew I was going downhill quick. So that was like 2008, 2009. I guess let me just summarize the next 2 years. I had 5 jail stays. One was for the next 3 years. One was for 8 months. I ended up having 17 bookings into the county jail here in Salt Lake in a 10-year span. Like it was actually a nightmare to get all my mugshots removed because it was embarrassing. Once I got a life, I'm like, okay, I don't want all these up, and I had to call these places and pay them money, and 17 of them. And dude, I lost my love for fitness during that time. Like I completely fell out of that. And for the next, probably from 2010 to 2012, I literally just succumbed to being a junkie. Like my family wouldn't allow me around. I wasn't around the house. They wouldn't let me come. I was, had a $150 a day heroin habit. I was, track marks. I was 170 pounds. I'm like 210 pounds right now. So, and it was just, dude, it just took over. And I get, when I tell people addiction doesn't give a fuck if you're white, black, rich, poor, I come from a good family, good, like middle to upper class family, was raised in a religious household. Like, I was hanging out with guys that'd be like, their daddy was a crack addict and their mom, or their mom was a crack addict and their dad was in jail. And I'm like, oh, yeah, my dad is a director of an accounting firm for the state of Utah. And my mom is a great religious lady that loved me since I was like, she just always loved me. Like, so like, I didn't become this person because of anything like my parents did or like my circumstances. Like, addiction doesn't care. And like when you start messing around with drugs like heroin, it really doesn't care because it's so addictive by nature. And it took over my whole life, dude. Like I think back to the stories and it's almost like when I'm telling my wife, I'm telling them almost like it's about somebody else. I was living in my car at one point with a girl that I ended up marrying, like on a whim. Worst decision. Like we quickly got that annulled when I got sober, but living in my car, and selling drugs just to get enough drugs, to do more drugs, to then live in my car. It was just insanity. And, dude, just completely demoralized. And then one day I came back to get in my car, which is my house, and they had impounded it. I was like, these sons of bitches took my car and my house. So, but I didn't even get sober then. I ran them up for a little while longer and, did some jail time. And when I did that jail time, I did like 8 months in jail and I started getting back into fitness in there. I was doing all the push-ups and the burpees and I was like, hey, this is my time. Like when I get out, I'm getting back into what I love to do for a living. Like I had, I'd gotten all these certifications for personal training and all this that like, I was like, I'm going to go use those and I'm going to get back into fitness. And I got out and what I realized then is the same shit I tell my clients. Like I wanted to so bad, but I had no fucking tools to do it. Like I really didn't. Like sitting in a jail cell with some fucking white supremacist dude, doing push-ups with him all day, talking about how we're going to do good when we get out. Like that's not a solution. That's like an idea. And I got out, and I was dead set I was going to do it, but I didn't have the tools. Like, I didn't have the action steps. It wasn't just as simple as like, okay, well, don't use. If it was that simple, I would have done it a long time ago. And I think that's the same thing when people are like, well, just don't eat the fucking ice cream. Like, if an individual literally doesn't have the tools to do it, how do you expect them? Like, so I'm talking more like a food addict, you know? Like, it's just not that easy. And like, I think people have a hard time deploying empathy to a food addict, you know, whereas I try to look at it just like a drug addiction. Like, okay, just don't use. Now you're out, you're clean, you've been clean for 8 months, you're good. It's out of your system. But like, I had no tools on how to like actually live life without it. So dude, I was out for like 3 days, and my parents were so excited. I was sober. I seen like myself again. And I ended up making the call to the dealer. And I remember making the call, and I was like, don't fucking do this, dude. Don't do it. Don't do it. And I did it anyways. And I shared this with my podcast, but I drove down there, and I was crying on the way down because I knew that, like, I knew this wasn't going to be different. Like, I couldn't, like, fool myself like, it's going to be just this one time, because it never was just one time for me, ever. So I picked up, and that started a gnarly run of about 11 months of gnarly drug addiction where, you know, like, I literally didn't draw a sober breath for 11 months. And I ended up being around people and seeing things I never thought I would. Had some major PTSD from seeing some gnarly shit that, like, you know, stuff people are like, oh, Salt Lake, it's a bunch of Mormons. I'm like, oh, there's some shit that goes on too. You know, saw this girl get kidnapped and like beat up. It was just horrible, and her head shaved, and like the girl ended up dead like 5 days later. These guys, it was just like traumatic, dude. And I finally hit this point of desperation, I call it, where you're finally willing to do what it takes. Like, I was finally willing to like do whatever it took to get sober, like whatever, no matter how hard it was, because the life I was living was hard. I started doing methamphetamines with the heroin. I was living in extreme paranoia. I was skinnier than I had ever been. You know, my diet consisted of a jumbo twist from 7-Eleven and a Slurpee every day, like literally for like 6 months straight. I just wasn't, I got to the point where I don't know if I was suicidal, because I think I was too big of a coward to do that, but I really didn't give a shit if I lived or died at that point. And I finally got to that point, that gift of desperation, I call it, that I try to see those glimpses in clients where I'm like, pick your heart, bro. Like, this is hard. Like, this is hard. Like, pick your heart. And, you know, I started praying to God, and like, I didn't even know what God, like, I was raised in a religious household, but I don't really share the same religious beliefs, but I knew there was something greater than me out there. I wasn't mad at God. That wasn't my story. I don't think God turned his back on me. Like, whatever God you choose to believe in, I just started praying to something, and it went something like, hey, like, I'm fucking beat up, and like, I need something to help this stop. Like, I'm gonna die out here, and like, my family doesn't deserve that. Like, they wouldn't talk to me, but and I was arrested, dude, that night, coming home from my grandfather's funeral, and I saw the lights go on in the back of the car, and this kid I was with, I was driving his car, and he said, oh, this car's stolen, dude. And I was like, shit. Well, I'm going to jail. So the cop came up and took me to jail, obviously. And but I remembered I was just done, man. I went, I spent some time in jail. Not very long. Like, I didn't even know how long I was going to do. I didn't know the car was stolen. I ended up the charges getting dropped against me, and I got released. But I remember going through that detox, and it was so hellacious. And I said shit like, I'm going to kill myself to the guards. And so they put me up in the crazy unit in a lockdown with like no pad, and I was laying on the floor, and I was puking on myself. And I remember, instead of thinking like, you're such a fucking disgrace, like, look, I'm literally laying in my own vomit. Like, I was thinking like, this is going to be the last time I have to do this. This is going to be the last time. Like, this is going to be the last time. It's okay. And I don't know if it was my grandpa or something. There was something greater in me that just kept pulling me through. So I got through it, and I got out, and this time I did something different. I went to like a meeting of like an AA meeting. It was actually a CA meeting, Cocaine Anonymous, but like a 12-step meeting. Because every time I went to rehab, they kept telling me, you need to go to these meetings. And I was like, fuck your meetings. I don't need to go to meetings. So I got out. My mom said, I'll come get you from the jail, but you're not staying here. I said, cool. So she took me to a meeting and dropped me off. And I went to this meeting and I did something different. Like I did something different. Instead of getting out and just being like, what are we going to do? I did something different. Like I knew like I had to do something different to get a different result. So I went to the meeting, and afterwards the meeting all ended and all these people are leaving. And this guy says to me, it was just me and him, he said, "You need a ride, bro?" I said, yeah. He said, "Where are you going?" I said, "See, that's the thing. I don't really have anywhere to go." And he looked at me and he said, "Shit. All right, man, you can stay with me, but I swear to God, if you steal from me, I don't care if I'm in recovery, I'll kill you." I'm like, fair enough. So this guy let me stay on his couch for a few days. I think actually a few weeks, which was like a godsend. But I believe it's because I was willing to do something different, that like God, like the universe, whatever, karma, whatever you want to call it, like provided me something different, you know? And so dude, that was November. That was right before Christmas. So that was about this exact date 6 years ago, probably. Actually, yeah, I think it is this exact date I got out of jail. And that's when that meeting happened. That's crazy, yeah. And he let me stay there. My parents let me come over for Christmas Day. And I quickly got a job at Iggy's, this restaurant here, waiting tables. And I was like, I got to do something. And was waiting tables and ran into my old employer like 2 months into waiting tables there. And he was like, "What are you doing, man?" He's like, how's your family member? Did they end up dying? And I said, "Oh, I made that up." He was like, "Oh shit, really?" I'm like, "Yeah, I was addicted to heroin, dude." And he's like, "Oh." And he's like, "Well, you're really talented at what you do, man. I'd love to have you back." And I was like, "Really?" He was like, "Yeah." So I was like, "Okay, cool." And he was like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "I believe in second chances." So that man gave me a second chance, and for that, I'm always truly grateful for it. Crazy part about that story is he was hiding this addiction of his own that actually, rest in peace, 3 months ago, he just passed away from. So that was ultimately my decision to leave Key Nutrition. To leave and start Key Nutrition was his addiction got bad. So whether it was he was giving me a second chance or whether like he like also like because he understood what it was like to struggle, I'm not sure. But dude, I got back into it and I knew that like this was my chance. And like that's when I found Gary Vee. And I was like, I love this dude. Like, I got to hustle and grind. And I worked my fucking face off, dude, for 3 years. Like, I mean, I still do today. Like, probably even more so. But, like, I didn't have a car. And I was living clear out in BFE from where, like, my place was, dude. I would take the bus in. I was seeing clients. I was doing whatever I could do to get back rolling. And, dude, within, like, 6 months, I went from 0 clients to 40. And, dude, I don't believe I would be sober today had I not got back into what I love to do for a living, because as you can relate, like when I started to feel making an impact on other people's lives, like truly doing that fucking hole that I felt like started to get filled, and it filled. And like, I could never picture doing anything different because I just like to impact. I was like, God, for once I'm impacting someone's life for the better. Like I'm not like screwing them over and I just loved it, man. And so like it grew into what is today. You know, I ended up 2 years ago, made the leap to come start my own place. And I did, dude. And I've got a staff of 8 other coaches that it's a lot of headaches some days, but I always think, dude, when I'm stressed and like this thing with Jason and like the money, and I was like, fuck. And I was like, man, like this is nothing compared to that. Every single morning for a year, I would wake up thinking like, okay, how am I going to get more shit today? So then I can like rip somebody off so I can get more dope so I can sell it. Then I can get more dope and then I can use it all. And then the next morning I'm in the same spot. And I was living at a hotel. So like most mornings I'd be like, okay, wake up and be like, shit. So I have no drugs and I have to be out of here by 11 a.m. I'm starting to get withdrawals. I'm puking all over myself. And like, but I had to go out there and grind for like the money. Like I had to go like be resourceful no matter how sick I felt. And like it's days like I remember those days like very vividly. Some days when I'm stressed and I'm like, man, this is nothing. You've been through way worse, like way worse. So sorry, that was like a really long version of it.
No, man. I mean, that was everything I wanted to hear. I mean, like I said, I heard it on your podcast. So I mean, thanks for going deep and sharing. It's just so, I mean, there's so much of it that like resonates with me and my past. And I mean, I just commend you for 6 years, like congrats. Like, that's fucking amazing.
Thanks, man.
And knowing what like you're doing now, and I completely agree. Like for me, you know, it didn't run 10 years, it was like 2 years. And that 2 years was 100% not helping anybody, not, you know, hurting people or anything, right? And like, as soon as, it's the same thing for me, as soon as I started helping people and as soon as I like tasted that, I was like, that's fulfillment. Like that's what I'm gonna chase like for the rest of my life. And I think I had some like motivation on it too, because like you, like I wasn't religious when I went to jail. And that night I like read the Bible the whole night. I like prayed to God for the first time. I was like, look, like I know I've done nothing good over the last 2 years here, but like I promise if you give me a second chance at life, like I will dedicate the rest of my life to helping other people. And like that's been my motivation for almost 10 years now. So yeah, man, I think it's such an amazing story. I don't know if you've heard of Charity Water, the foundation. Have you heard of it? So it's a huge foundation, and their goal is to basically bring water to countries that don't have fresh, clean water. And they have a lot of like Gary Vee's an investor, or he donated. He's like part of the charity and all this stuff. But anyways, the guy that created it was like he launched all these clubs like in Miami, and was like a club promoter, like, you know, all the drugs and like all that stuff, right? Like that's what he did for like 20 years. And he had one moment, I don't know the full story, but he had one moment where everything just flipped. He flipped the switch and dedicated his life towards building this foundation. And so, you know, it's just so crazy to me, like at one point in your life, like whether it's 2 years or 10 years or 20 years, like just the ability to be able to like make that, you know, transfer and transform into like what you're actually meant to be in the first place.
Dude, it just reinstills my belief, and like sounds like yours too. And like change is possible. And like, I mean, I'm more so when I'm talking to my clients, like you can change. Like I know you've been overweight for 20 years, but like if you think you can't, like that's why you're going wrong. Like it's an absolutely astonishing just fact of like that human beings, when put in a position where they feel enough pain from whatever they're doing, like pain is such a great motivating factor for change. Like it just happens, you know, like hearing that story about that guy, like that's like he clearly got to a place where he was like empty. It didn't matter how much money you have, didn't matter, like it doesn't matter. Like when you're just chasing the dollars and you're not doing it for the right reasons, like it's not fulfilling.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree. So I want to like circle back into your story. One thing that's like really interesting to me is like I'm sure you put serious thought into this, but like, why do you think it is that you felt that void from such a young age? Like, I mean, you like your family, like all that stuff was good. It wasn't that. Like, can you pinpoint it to anything? Like, do you know?
No, dude. You know what? And it's interesting. I fully believe that I was like, I feel I make a joke that I came out of the womb like restless and irritable and discontent with life. I was just like, I remember just always feeling like this. And so for me, like my personal belief is like, there's these tiers of like people who use drugs. There's the people who like use drugs and it's like problematic. They got into it a little bit. Like it was a problem, but like, they weren't really trying to numb a big solution inside. They just found fun in drugs and they got a lot of control and they stopped. And then there's the next tier of like people who become addicts, but they became addicts more, you know, they had a wreck, they got in an injury, they got hooked on the pain pills. It was really addicting. Their life spiraled out of control and it got really bad, but like eventually pull it together and get clean. And then there's like this third tier of like these people who were born, like I believe addiction is a brain disease, and the DSM-4, the medical community now recognize that it's like, I feel like I was born, like, I feel like I was always that way. I don't feel like it was anything my parents did wrong. I remember as a kid that like, I would get super anxious when we'd go on vacation. I was like 7. I was trying to figure out like, hey, what time will we be back? I didn't even like, I just was so, and they're like, well, we're just going out to the beach. I'm like, do you know what time we'll be back? And they're like, why? I'm like, I don't know. It just kind of like, I just want to know how long we'll be gone. Like, I didn't even know why. I just remember feeling super anxious. So whether it was addiction or not, I don't know. I know that anxiety ran in me. Like, I don't know if I was necessarily, I believe I was 100% born very predispositioned to be an addict. Now, had I never picked up a drug, it doesn't mean that I'm still not very addictive in the way I think.
Yeah.
But the anxiety that I felt, and I don't know what that void was because there's nothing my parents were doing wrong. I've looked into it. Like I was the youngest of 5. I was an oh shit child. There was jokes about me being kind of a mistake. Like my parents are in their 70s and like I'm 33, I'll be 34 next year. So, and there's like this big gap between like, there's like me and then my sister. And then there's this big gap of my older brothers. You know, my dad was pushing 40 when he had me, and like they weren't expecting me. I was not supposed to happen. And it was kind of like this joke. And I remember like, I kind of like all my brothers were stacked together. So there was some like circumstantial things I think that made me feel this kind of disconnect. But I just remember always feeling really anxious and like, I can't describe it. Like, even though like I had like friends that were cool, like I never felt like I was I was always like watching from afar. It was weird. You know what I mean? Like I was like with them, but like I always felt this weird disconnect. And so I guess to answer your question, no, I don't really know. I know that I was born from a young age. I had a lot of anxiety, a lot over nothing. I changed schools 3 times, literally over nothing. It was shit I made up in my head. I got pushed one day by a kid, fell into the snow. I went home to my mom. I said, I'm never going back to that school ever. I remember he was wearing a Raiders starter jacket. I fucking hated the Raiders forever because of that. I was like, that prick. But in my head, dude, he beat me up to a bloody pulp, shoved me in the snow, fucking kicked me. Like, that's not what happened. But in my head, that's what I felt like happened. So I don't know if I always tell people, like, I feel like I was born an addict. But had I never picked up, I wouldn't be calling myself an addict. But I believe there was predispositions there to have very addictive behaviors. And on top of that, just feeling super anxious. And I think a lot, when I talk to any food addict, you know, it's a lot of that same stuff. Like they just always felt kind of restless and irritable and like discontent, like just this anxiety feeling, and like food is what comforted that. So
that was going to be kind of the next thing I was going to lead into was like, what are some of the similarities that you, besides what you just mentioned, like what are some of the similarities that you see with like, you know, maybe clients that come to you that are extremely overweight, that have struggled with food addiction in comparison to maybe the struggles of drug addiction?
You know, it's interesting. So I have one on my roster now. We chatted just before the call. And so what's funny is actually I had 4 of my coaches do a show one time. So there was all this focus on like physique and show prep stuff. And like, but really 95% of my clients are not. In fact, I don't even do show prep providers anymore. And work with a lot of this Gen Pop. And also, you know, I have some heavier clients that definitely, they didn't get that way by mistake. You know what I mean? I just don't believe anyone gets to 380 pounds. Like, oh shit, you know, I had some bad eating habits. Like there's some serious addictions going on there. And it's funny that some of the similarities I see right now with a girl who, like, I'm honestly just about to tempted to tell her, like, this is one side of the spectrum. They're like, I don't know if we should keep working together. Like, I'm thinking about just canceling your monthly thing. Like, I'm not sure. It's like, because I don't feel like I'm providing any value, because she's in that phase that I was in. That was the bullshit deflection. And I see it so much. I'm like, how was your week? Oh, it was pretty good. You know, it was, I mean, could have done better. Okay, we talk. I'm like, what do you mean? Well, I mean, it wasn't bad. I actually did pretty good. Like, not horrible. So, like, just a lot of deflection. I'm like, okay, well, I'm seeing here you went up 4 pounds. Oh, yeah, I think I'm, like, bloated today. I'm like, okay. And then I start diving in more. And like, she had, like, 5 cheat meals. She drank, like, you know, and then, but, like, it's all just deflection and these hidings where, like, I have to pull and pull and pull. And then, like, sometimes I never even get the true answer. Sometimes I'm like, okay, so that's all you did, and you went up 4 pounds, and you're 375 pounds. Like, I just don't believe that, like, you only had, like, 2 cheat meals. Like, there's something going on. You're not hitting your other food. Like, something's, and it's this deflection. It's the like manipulation of the lies, and it's just the denial. So that's like one side of it, where it's like, oh, it's not that bad. And then, like, they try to deflect with humor, and I'm like, so, like, listen, the scale isn't everything, but I'd be lying to you if I said that at your weight, it doesn't hold much more precedence than some of my clients that are 175 pounds. You know what? Like, And I get frustrated. Like I think sometimes I need to deploy more empathy because I see the same when I'm seeing it in that phase of it. And it's deflection and lies, and then their sister comes in and sees me and is like, "Oh my God, you should see what's in her freezer." It's like all these like fat whey ice creams. And I'm like, "Oh, that's funny," because she didn't tell me about any of those. Like, so, and then the other side of it, where like someone who's truly trying to get better, I see a lot of the similarities where it's this tug of war, and it's the shame, dude. It's the shame that's killing people. It's not the guilt. I tell clients, like, I don't really give a fuck if you feel guilty about it. The guilt tells you, like, I shouldn't have done that. I could have done better. Shame tells you, like, why'd you do that? You're a piece of shit. And I see the shame kick in where they'll do really good. We'll have some good weeks. And then they'll go on a bender, and they still don't really want to talk about it much. But I know it's gnarly because I can tell them their emotions. I can tell them their weight, their inches are up. And it's the shame, man. That shame kicks in. That shame cycle is so similar with food and with drugs, where it's just like it kicks in. It's just why even try? It's just I call it K-fuck radio. It's like, you fucking suck. You fucking suck. Go eat fucking food. You're the worst. You're the horrible. Like, you can't ever do this. Why are you trying to lose weight? You're fat. That's why you're single. And it's just like I see that same stuff, and I tell them, like, I get it. Like, you don't get, like, how many times I was like, man, like, all right, I'm going to call my parents and tell them I really, really am serious this time. Like, just please put me to deep. And then the voice would kick in. They'll be like, why are you going to do that? You're a piece of shit. When you get out, you'll just get high again. Then they'll be even more pissed at you because they'll spend more money. Like, you're a junkie. That's what you are. Admit, like, it's just the same voice. So I don't know if the voice talks like that, but.
For you, like, I mean, I think that a lot of people have this negative self-doubt. I mean, I think that me and you can speak on it with, like, being an entrepreneur, right? Like, there's a lot of the same. I mean, being an entrepreneur is, in a way, kind of an addiction as well.
Oh, dude, you want to talk about, yes. My wife reminds me daily that I've transferred addictions, but I'm like, hey, I'm okay with that today.
Yeah. But, I guess my question is, and I get this a lot myself as well, is like, so obviously the voices come into your head still today. Like, they're never going away, right? It's something that's always going to be there. Negative self-doubt, like all of this stuff. Like, what helps you block it out? Like, what helps you overcome that? Like, I mean, because I think it's something that, I suffer with on a daily basis. I think most people do. So can you share maybe like one tactic that you found helpful to be able to just keep pushing forward?
Absolutely. I mean, a few things, dude, came to mind when you said that is, one, getting outside of myself and being of service. The cool part about our job is sometimes it's not, I'm well aware. My sponsor in AA, who I still communicate with, not like I met with him every week for like a year. It's a sober coach. It's the same thing we do. Like, it's just like he was just helping me with like life and like how to live life without doing drugs. Yeah. But like, I didn't realize at the time, I'm like, they call him a sponsor in AA. They're not getting paid, but it's a coach. Like, I just met with him every week, and then I met with him every month. And now, like, we still stay in contact. It's like maintenance, like now I'm where I need to be. And, but he'd always remind me, it's your fucking job is in service. So I'm like, I know, but some days when that negative self-doubt comes, and all of a sudden I start talking to Miss Jones, and she tells me about her wins for the week. And then I get outside of myself to help her like navigate through this next week. Like, there's just a feeling that comes, but more so like service of just like trying to be a service to another human being, expecting nothing in return and doing it for free. The second thing is some kind of spiritual connection, man. Like, that's what helps me. And like, I say that, and like, there's such a broad term, I'm involved still in Alcoholics Anonymous. And like, people think AA is like a place where you come like sit in a circle and talk about the drinking. If that's what your meeting is, you need to go to a new one, because that's not what it's about. Like, we wouldn't talk about that. We talk about like this, like how to live life better. And part of the foundation of AA is a spiritual program. That's the whole purpose of it. People don't get it, to help you find a power greater in yourself, whatever you want to call that. So for me, it's breathing meditations. When I start getting too wrapped up, I know that I'm into self and my head's kicking in, because some days I still don't trust my head, because it will tell me stuff like, dude, why'd you do that with Jason? Like, this is like, what? Bro, like, you don't even know what this is going to entail. He doesn't even have a game plan for you. And I'm like, okay, hey, shut up. And like, for me, just to go, hey, shut up doesn't work. I have to usually stop, like, if I'm in a place to. I believe in meditation, and like, however that looks for you. Like, I have some quick little 5-minute things I do. but dude, like getting outside of myself and like connecting with God, with nature, I'll go on a walk. These kind of things is what, dude, really helps me is a connection to something greater in yourself. Like I call it God, but dude, the most freeing thing in my life is when someone asked me, one of my clients said, well, you talk about God. Well, what's God to you? And I said, I have no clue. And I smiled at her and she goes, oh, I said that, like, I'm smiling because it's freeing to me that I don't have to define it. I just know there's something greater than me out there. And you know, a lot of times I'm pretty good about picking up the phone. You might become a victim of this one day now. I'll just be like, hey, dude, you got a sec? Like, listen, I think I'm kind of a piece of shit right now. And so, like, I need to talk to somebody. And I'm like, okay, so why, like, what's going on? Dude, I don't know. I'm in, like, talking to another human being and being vulnerable, like vulnerability, service, and then a connection to some kind of spiritual, you know, power that's greater than you, or my three kind of antidotes to that.
Wow. I love that. Yeah. I think that, like, you know, and it comes to mind, like, all the consultations that we do, you know, everything's remote. Like, I mean, I think about a lot of the clients that we work with, like, you know, my call with Jason every 2 weeks, like my call with my nutrition coach every 2 weeks. Like, I look forward to that. You know, like, I want to make my coach proud. Like, I need somebody to talk to, you know, and so I think that's huge. Like, whether you're paying for it or whether you have somebody in your life that you can go to, like, I think that's super powerful.
The gratitude journal, that's like the best antidote. When I do that every morning, I stay the fuck out of my head. Like, I remember but anyway, sorry, that's another thing.
When you do what in the morning, you said?
A gratitude journal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's been one thing that I've really started pushing on clients more and more, is that daily journaling. Like,
amen, because it doesn't have anything to do with fitness, right? I'm like, my wife still thinks I just write macros, bro. Like, she really thinks I just write like fucking diet. And that's okay. Like, we've had our fights about it, but I'm like, God, like, you don't understand. Like, it's so much more than that. Like,
so much more. Yeah, I say it all the time. I'm like, it's not about like the nutrition coaching. It's about the mindset that's developed along the way.
Amen. Amen. Yeah, I don't have the secret sauce of like, I'm going to put you fucking 25% fat and that's what's going to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So. I love the play of like nutrition and lifestyle coaching, or nutrition and life coaching. I mean, that's really what it is, you know. And
they go hand in hand. It's one and the same. Like,
I love what Jason got from Garrett White. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's like the 4 pillars. Right?
Oh yeah.
Like the body, being, balance, and business. So, you know, I always talk to clients like, yo, come to us for body goals, right? But like, after we expand outside of that pillar, how can we get into being? How can we get into balance? How can we get into business, right? And how can we really like start to evolve the coaching process into more of, you know, just personal development and allowing you to live your best life. So,
because that's the only way you're going to keep whatever you've obtained from an aesthetic point, is like if you're doing these things, because with like, you know, that's the tools to like live this overall healthy lifestyle, mind, body, spirit, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, anybody can do it when life allows it, right? When the environment's perfect. But what happens when, you know, we're around this time of year and we're super busy and crazy and shit hits the fan? Like, you have to be able to come back to that place of like maintenance and not just completely fall off. So,
amen, dude. Amen.
I love it, man. Well, dude, thanks for taking the time today. I want to respect your time. I know you're a busy man out there in Utah. But dude, where can everybody find you at? Where are you at on social media? I know, share the podcast, website, all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's on Instagram. It's actually Key Nutrition Utah. We're working to get the Utah dropped off it. Got to get that shit trademarked. And on my personal Instagram is the_sober_bodybuilder. And then website is keynutrition.com. And our podcast is the Key Nutrition Podcast. You got to put the in there, you won't find it. So, yeah, check that out. I'm trying to provide a lot of value on that. You don't know it yet, but you're going to be on there soon. Well, I'm going to ask you to. I don't know if you'll agree, but you know, trying to have a lot of different value and talking about subjects of hormones, of life, of, you know, talking with experts, talking about, you know, how to battle through the holidays, all that kind of stuff. So I'd love to have you tune in.
Nice, man. Awesome. Well, dude, thank you so
Dude,
much.
thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'm going to text you too to get you linked up on ours.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me sign this off real quick here.